Let's be honest, even if it feels uncomfortable, there's a part of you that's been tamed, like a wild creature confined in a cage. You can sense it, even if you can't quite articulate it. There's a void inside you, a feeling that something essential is missing. It's not about wealth, recognition, or even love. It's something more primal, something ancient that you've either forgotten or were conditioned to suppress. Whenever you feel desire, you're often encouraged to distract yourself, told that this is normal, even healthy. But what if that's not the truth? What if the very energy you're taught to dismiss is actually the gateway to a deeper, untapped power within you? This isn't about superficial spirituality or rigid moral codes. It's about profound inner psychology. Your instincts, your unconscious impulses, the deeper truths hiding in your desires. Carl Jung warned us long ago, what you do not make conscious will manifest in your life as fate. And if you continue to ignore this inner force, your path won't lead to freedom, it'll lead to emptiness. Take a look around. The widespread anxiety, the persistent sense of boredom, the absence of direction. It's not accidental. It's the byproduct of a culture that reduces powerful inner energy, particularly sexual energy, to mere amusement. We've been conditioned to release it carelessly, not to harness and elevate it. Jung uncovered a radical truth. This energy isn't just a bodily impulse, it's the essence of the soul. When you suppress it out of fear, you begin to suffer. When you waste it mindlessly, you feel hollow. But when you learn to channel it with intention, you awaken something fierce, what ancient wisdom called the inner fire. And modern society fears it because it cannot be easily controlled. Here's the most striking part. You've likely already experienced this. During times of intentional or even accidental abstinence, days, weeks without sex, porn, or masturbation, something changes. Your vision sharpens, your voice gains strength, your mind clears. You rise with a vitality you didn't realize was there. It wasn't random. That was your raw, creative life force coming alive. Jung explained this transformation with clarity. Sexual energy doesn't vanish, it evolves. How you choose to direct it shapes your identity. Have you ever noticed your most inspired, creative, and decisive moments coincide with periods of restraint? That's not mysticism, it's psychological dynamics at work. Jung spoke of individuation, the journey of becoming your true self. This path demands that you look within, confront your desires, and resist acting on them blindly. Why? Because your shadow, the repressed parts of you, holds the very key to your liberation. But facing this truth isn't easy. It reveals that each time you chased fleeting pleasure, you traded away your potential, your strength, your essence. And when you fail to master your impulses, rest assured, someone else will. Jung understood this clearly. A person who doesn't command their desires will be commanded by them, and those who are ruled by their impulses become easily manipulated. Our culture isn't designed to cultivate powerful individuals. It's designed to produce obedient consumers. And consumers don't reflect, they react. That's why we're constantly bombarded with sexual imagery, because as long as you're fixated on surface-level pleasure, you won't question your life, challenge your beliefs, or awaken the true force within you. But what if you chose a different path? What if you stepped away from the script society handed you and redirected that powerful energy towards something greater? Carl Jung wasn't advocating for repression or denial. He was calling for transformation. This isn't about abstinence as punishment, but as a process of inner liberation. It's about channeling your desire, not avoiding it, so it fuels creativity, purpose, and mastery. It's the shift from being ruled by your urges to becoming the deliberate author of your own life. And this, make no mistake, is not just philosophical talk. It's rigorous internal work. It's what Jung might call inner alchemy. It's a rebellion, not against sexuality itself, but against how it's been stripped of its depth and meaning. Against the idea that your value is tied to constant indulgence, consider what it really means to be addicted to gratification, how it reduces everything else to a lesser priority. But once you learn to take control of that energy, you become someone that external forces can no longer manipulate. That's the deeper truth I want to offer you today. It's not a comfortable message, but it's a liberating one. Jung didn't speak to those looking for comfort. He spoke to those ready to shatter their illusions, confront their inner demons, and turn those dark forces into strength. Real power begins when you're no longer at war with yourself, so prepare yourself. This is not another feel-good motivational cliché. It's a jolt to your psyche, a challenge to rethink everything you've believed about sex, desire, and your own potential. Pay close attention, because what follows isn't the usual personal development script. Jung wasn't merely referring to physical abstinence. He spoke of a deeper psychological process, sublimation. Sublimation means redirecting primal urges into higher, more conscious expression. This is not mysticism, it's psychological transformation. That same urge that pulls you toward quick pleasure, when not discharged, begins to rise. It searches for a new outlet, a more meaningful one. It seeks art, innovation, clarity, and direction. You can't simply turn it off or deny it. You must lead it, which brings us to the crucial question: where is your energy going? If you're not steering it, it will consume you. It morphs into anxiety, agitation, or compulsive behavior. Jung was clear: what is buried doesn't vanish, it warps. That which is unacknowledged festers. Unexamined desire doesn't disappear, it becomes sabotage from within. That's why the goal isn't to suppress desire as if it's wrong, but to recognize it as a coded message from your unconscious mind. Behind every impulse lies something deeper. It's not merely about physical gratification, it's about expansion. Your psyche craves wholeness, the integration of the fragmented parts of yourself that were silenced by social conditioning. This is where Jung's archetype of the inner warrior comes into play. He spoke of confronting your inner dragon, the part of you that chases instant pleasure, avoids discomfort, and escapes meaning through distractions. But this dragon is not your enemy to be slain. It is your power to be disciplined. You tame it only by resisting the urge to give in, especially when the body screams the loudest. And when you do that, when you hold your ground, something incredible happens. A new threshold is crossed. The energy that would have been lost in a fleeting moment of satisfaction now rises through your system. It sharpens your thoughts, strengthens your instincts, and most importantly, rebuilds your willpower. And this is where many fall. The issue isn't a lack of strength, it's overstimulation. Every time you submit to immediate gratification, you train your brain to follow, not to lead. Each surrender is a step away from your own center. Wonder why your focus fades, why procrastination creeps in, why you feel detached from purpose? Because you've scattered your inner resources so often, you've forgotten what it means to be whole. Each mindless release of desire is a quiet erosion of your integrity. Now take a look at the pattern. What do monks, visionaries, artists, warriors, and leaders all have in common? They've walked the path of self-restraint, not necessarily in sexual terms, but in energetic discipline. They've learned to close one door in order to open another. They understand that desire is a compass, but it must never be the captain. They've experienced the stillness that comes with not giving in, and they've emerged stronger for it. So ask yourself, how often have you faced desire without flinching? How often have you crossed that psychological threshold? Here's a truth few want to admit. Holding back is not repression, it's preparation. It's not denial, it's discipline. It's about learning to master the fire within without extinguishing. Every impulse you resist becomes available energy. Jung was explicit. Those who can sublimate their libido can shape the world around them. And perhaps more importantly, they can finally begin to shape themselves. Do you understand the significance of that? It means that every moment you choose not to give in, you're building a kind of strength that the system can't predict or control. The world relies on your patterns, on your weakness, your predictability, your routine reactions. But the one who learns to resist becomes something rare, unpredictable, and true freedom only begins when you're no longer easy to read or manipulate. Now let's go even deeper. Have you ever heard of the concepts of anima and animus? These are the inner archetypes of the feminine and masculine energies that exist within every one of us, regardless of gender. According to Jung, if you're a man and haven't made peace with your inner feminine, your anima, or a woman disconnected from your inner masculine, your animus, you will endlessly search for wholeness outside of yourself. And how does that show up in life? Through obsessive desires, overpowering attractions, emotional attachments, and a constant sense that something is missing. But the truth is, you are not missing anything. What you're really lacking is a conscious relationship with your inner self. You've been searching for in others what can only be reconciled within. Sounds intense, doesn't it? That insatiable lust. It's not just about physical craving. It's the soul trying desperately to reclaim the parts of itself it abandoned or never understood. That's where abstinence becomes radical, not as a moral statement but as an act of self-awareness. When you interrupt the cycle of constant external pursuit, you begin to hear more clearly. You start to observe, to interpret, to see things as they are. And what do you uncover? That your longing wasn't for physical intimacy, but for inner wholeness. That what you craved wasn't touch, but unity within. Your libido wasn't just seeking pleasure, it was trying to wake you up. This changes the game entirely. It's not about self-denial or becoming a martyr. It's about protecting your energy like it's the most precious thing you own, because it is. Each time you choose restraint, you're building something sacred. You're constructing a sanctuary within yourself that cannot be violated or manipulated. You're creating the space your soul needs to rise. And when it does, when that part of you awakens, there is no external force that can dominate you. You stop chasing, you stop depending, you move with intention, your gaze sharpens, your heart ignites, and people feel it, even if they can't explain it. That's where real power begins, not the kind that boasts, not the kind that needs recognition, but the quiet strength found in discipline, in presence, in becoming someone who's chosen something far more valuable than temporary pleasure, yourself. So let me ask you this. Do you still think this is just about sex? This is about something much deeper. It's about reclaiming control, about stepping into sovereignty. It's about taking back the authority you unknowingly handed over. Because here's the truth few will admit. Your body is only the surface. Your energy, that's sacred ground. And every time you resist reacting like a conditioned being, you're writing a new story, one that breaks with centuries of unconscious behavior, one that leaves behind the crowd, the compulsive, the distracted. This isn't the easy path. Self-mastery is often a lonely road. No one cheers for your discipline. No one claps when you remain silent. Few will ever notice the quiet power you're building until it finally breaks through. And by then, it's too late for anyone to stop you. Because you've already evolved. You're no longer the person you were. Your eyes see differently. Your energy carries a quiet gravity, magnetic, unshakable. You no longer need to explain yourself. You no longer need validation, because your presence speaks on your behalf. And that kind of power, it can't be faked. It's forged in fire, contained, disciplined, and transformed within. When desire is redirected and the shadow self integrated, you no longer need to announce your power. It speaks for itself. The world senses something different in you. It can't explain it, but it feels it. And once you experience that level of inner freedom, there's no going back. You've tasted what it means to walk unbound, untethered from external validation, no longer reliant on anything outside yourself to feel whole. That, right there, is the most intoxicating kind of freedom, not needing. Then you begin to realize that what was once sold to you as freedom was actually a subtle kind of captivity. A prison dressed in pleasures, with open doors but invisible chains. Chains forged from craving, from compulsions, from the illusion of lack. But once you break that dependency, everything shifts. You see the world with new eyes. The superficial no longer entices you. The urgent no longer dictates your choices. Desire no longer commands. You command it. You decide when to act, where to focus your energy, and what truly deserves your presence. That level of awareness is its own kind of awakening. Not spiritual escapism, but full human sovereignty. The rare kind of self-possession that makes someone whole, and that, in today's world, is among the rarest qualities of all. So I'll leave you with this one question, one only you can answer. Will you continue draining your essence on automatic impulses you barely understand, or will you begin to fill yourself with yourself? Because right there, in that single choice, lies the difference between a life you lead and a life that leads you. Between a soul that ignites and one that fades away, never having burned at all. And if you've stayed with me until this point, that's not an accident. You're among the few ready to reclaim their inner fire, so do it. Don't let these words remain theory. Turn them into lived action. Feel them in every decision you make, every time you're torn between what's easy and what's meaningful, between the fleeting and the timeless. And if something inside you stirred while hearing this, if it awakened something others were afraid to speak, subscribe. But don't do it for me. Do it for you. This isn't entertainment. This is your awakening. If you want more, if you're ready to explore the depths others avoid, then stay. This space is for those who choose transformation. Before you click away, I invite you to leave a single phrase in the comments. No lengthy explanations, no added context. Just those 7 words that carry the weight of an entire journey. The fire does not die. It evolves. Let that sentence stand on its own, like a quiet declaration carved in stone. When I see it, I will know you belong to the small circle of people who refuse to settle for a life of quiet resignation, who refuse to abandon their inner sovereignty in exchange for fleeting comforts. That simple sentence will signal that you understand the difference between a spark that flickers out at the first gust of resistance and a living flame that changes shape, intensity, and color, while never losing its essence. By writing it, you will be telling the world, without boasting, without self-promotion, that you have chosen the path of continual growth over the easy road of stasis. Now, I will step away and leave you, but you will not be exactly as you were a few minutes ago. Something subtle has shifted. Perhaps it is only a faint vibration in your chest or a charged stillness in your thoughts. But it is there, alive and insistent. Think of it as an echo that will linger long after this video ends, reverberating in the spaces where routine noise once lived. It will surface in ordinary moments when you're halfway through scrolling, when you find yourself reaching for distraction, when you notice the habitual tug of an old craving. That is the precise instant to pause, just long enough to feel the tension between impulse and intention. Breathe, turn your attention inward, and allow awareness to widen the gap between stimulus and response. Then ask the question that now belongs to you. Does this deplete me or deepen me? Do not underestimate the power packed into those 11 syllables. On the surface, the question is almost disarmingly simple, yet it slices straight through layers of automatic behavior, cultural conditioning, and hidden fear. Everything you Choose after that pause falls into only two categories: the actions, thoughts, and habits that drain your vitality, and those that expand it. Over time, this single inquiry becomes a compass more reliable than any external rulebook. It reorders priorities, rearranges relationships, and redraws the map of what you consider possible. It is not a slogan to memorize. It is a lens through which you will learn to see everyday life with ruthless clarity. When you wield it consistently, even mundane choices, how you spend the next hour, what content you consume, how you speak to someone you love, transform into deliberate acts of self-creation. Perhaps you worry that pausing in this way will make you slow, indecisive, or disconnected from the spontaneity that gives life its flavor. In truth, the opposite happens. As you become fluent in reading your own inner signals, you will respond to life with more precision, not less, with more authenticity, not less, with a deeper sense of spontaneity anchored in integrity rather than impulse. A sculptor does not swing the hammer at random. Each calculated strike releases form from stone. In the same way, each moment you choose awareness over autopilot chisels away what is inessential and brings your truest shape into view. There will be times when the question stings, when it shines a harsh light on choices that feel comforting in the short term, but erode your energy over the long run. You might discover that certain conversations leave you empty, that certain habits steal hours you can never retrieve, that certain environments dim your brightness until you barely recognize yourself. Seeing all of this without flinching takes courage, but that courage is precisely what forges real freedom. The more honestly you answer, the more you reclaim pieces of power you once scattered in pursuit of approval, pleasure, or numbness. Eventually, you will realize you are no longer merely repairing leaks in a sinking vessel. You are designing an entirely new ship, one built to cross oceans rather than circle a harbor. Some people around you may not notice the quiet revolution taking place. Others might sense it and feel unsettled because your growing clarity challenges the unspoken contract of mutual complacency. Let them. Your task is not to shrink so others feel comfortable, but to embody the living proof that disciplined self-possession can coexist with warmth, creativity, and joy. Over time, your presence alone will speak a language beyond words, and those ready for their own awakening will seek you out, drawn by a resonance they cannot quite name. And so we arrive at the final fork in the road. Will you drift back into the familiar current of conditioned reactions, or will you choose the steeper climb toward mastery? The decision is yours, and you will face it many times in countless forms. Each choice tilts the axis of your future by a degree that might seem insignificant in the moment, but becomes monumental over months and years. Compound enough of those degrees, and you change continents without ever noticing the gradual shift. One day, you look around and realize you inhabit a reality unrecognizable to the person you used to be, one shaped by deliberate focus rather than scattered impulse, by inner abundance rather than hunger for external validation. So here is my closing invitation. Test this idea in the laboratory of your own life. Do not take my word or anyone else's as gospel. Instead, treat your attention as the rarest currency you possess and spend it like an investor, not a gambler. Each time you feel the tug of an old pattern, pause. Let silence bloom where reaction once erupted. Feel the restless energy swirl in your chest, behind your eyes, in your fingertips. Then ask the question, does this deplete me or deepen me? Answer honestly, act accordingly, and witness the unfolding. Some days you will choose depth and feel an immediate surge of alignment. Other days you will choose depletion out of habit and feel the familiar drain. Record both, learn from both. Adjust course, repeat. And remember, the invitation to write those 7 words in the comments is not a gimmick, not a call for algorithmic engagement. It is a ritual marker, a symbolic handshake that affirms your commitment to an evolving flame within. Type them if they resonate, and let that act be the first of many deliberate choices you make today. Whether you meet me at the next level or remain at the threshold is entirely up to you. Either path is valid, but only one will show you how vast your own inner territory truly is. Choose with open eyes, choose with steady breath, choose knowing that every decision shapes the fire that will carry you forward, because the fire does not die, it evolves.